Welcome back to Blackland, the video series about helping black people become more empowered in the real estate game and purchasing, buying, investing, being involved. Period, and being knowledgeable about it. Again, this series is going to lead up to a book that is going to be finished. I would believe the first week in November. I'm on page 71 now. I want it to be about 125 to 50 pages. So I like where it's going now, and I like this series. So this is episode 3. Episode 3 is determining value of a property, which is one of the toughest things that any buyer, real estate agent, appraiser, that anyone can actually do, is figure out what the value of a home is. But I'm going to take it from the buyer's angle and from a seller's angle, because those were the ones that I was looking at when I was when I was active in real estate sales. And when you look at it, I used to have people, we would go to a house and they saw 4 homes that were in a price range, and they all were similar in layout, terms of size, square foot, number of baths, bedrooms. And at the end of the showing, or the end of a series of showings, and they would see one and they would ask, what is it worth? And I always used to think, I was like, you just saw 10 houses, you know what it's worth. Like, you saw the comp, and you know this one you like, and you know why it's better or different or whatever. And I always used to think that was a weird question. And it's not really weird. What they are saying is, I don't know what to pay for it without being beat on it. So, and that's everyone's great fears, that they're gonna overpay, they're gonna underpay. Not that they'll underpay. That if you are a seller, that you'll undersell it. And all of that is it's misguided, because if you're in a market and you're priced within the market, give or take 5%, people will offer within the market range, and at that point, then you got to determine, is it worth it for me to sell or buy at that price? And that's easy, because either, if you have, say your home is at the top end of a market range. So say these homes you usually sell for anywhere between $425 and $465, right? And the ones at the higher range are more upgraded, or more new, more modern, whatever. The ones at the bottom range are less upgraded, less new, or whatever the difference is. So when you've seen a range of homes, then you got to make a decision as best as you can. I like this place. Is it worth its market rate, or do I think it's under or over? And at that point, you offer accordingly. So that's kind of where, the mental value goes when you're a buyer. But I'll break it down a little bit more technically in this sense. The best thing you can do before you even go out, once you know what you can afford, ask your agent for a market report. Now, a lot of them probably won't have it. I had one of the best ones, and I'm not gassing myself. Like, it was really, really nice. I used to break down what things are worth per square foot. I would have the highest sales. I would have the average sales, median price, average price. So, like, I really got into it, because when the market was going down in 08, in 2009, people were freaking out. So the best thing I felt I could do was give people factual info. Then they can see how things are selling, and trends. Because the way you figure out trends are, if you see a price median and average for a quarter, you can say that's a blip. If you see it twice, it could be a coincidence. If you see it for 3 straight quarters, then that's a trend. So you want to see the last three quarters of sales And if you can get the average of how it's trending, then you know how you should offer based off of it going up or going down. And if it's going up, you will have to be ultra aggressive in pursuing the sale. I mean the purchase, because you know the market's going up and things are going to move quicker. So that's one thing, is to get a market report. And most agents won't have a market report, but there's bound to be an agent or two in the market who does a nice job of giving out stats. And so you may not want that agent as your agent to buy or sell a home, but they're going to have the stats, because a lot of people use my report who I never even saw. Like, I would see them when I was selling a house, and they would have my report in their hand, and they work for the other agent. So often you will see agents who give data out and provide a service that most agents won't do. And so you just find that, and then figure out what the market is and how it's moving. The next biggest thing in its value is your budget, because if this house is at the high end at $465 and you can only afford $450, you can offer within your budget. But if the market's moving quickly and it's aggressive, you won't get it. So it doesn't matter what it's worth. You can't afford it because the market is aggressive and it's on an incline. So you're just going to be, SOL. The other way you can determine value, and this was good for condos, is that in a similar building, you could use price per square foot. And what that would do is, if you have a condo building and it's got 50 units in it, each line of the unit, so say all the 1 bedrooms are 1 units, all the 2s are 3 units, and all the 3s are 7. So in that line, they all look the same. So you can figure out the value, because the price per square foot of the last sale will determine yours. Now, if you're going up each floor, the general was between $5,000 to $10,000 a floor. So it could get pricey going up, but the range was always relative. So say floors 1 through 5 would kind of be the same, but then from 5 to 10 would jump up, 10,000, 15 or whatever, and then as you go up, then it can jump up 70,000, 80,000 from the first floor. But they're all going to be essentially the baseline is going to be the price per square foot. So if it's a two bedroom and it's 1,000 square feet, and I would imagine that the price now in downtown Jersey City is about somewhere near $700 a square foot. So that unit's going to be $700,000, and so from there, that's the median price per square foot. So from there, you figure out what advantages it has or disadvantages, which would make it worth less than 700 or worth more than 700. So that's kind of how you look at that. The other thing you can look at when it's not a condo, we used to sell a lot of brownstones in downtown Jersey City, and that you would have to look at a similar home, but none of them were the same. So you would look at the brownstones there. It used to be like an 18 wide was kind of in the middle. A 25 wide was huge, and this is like the width of the frontage of the building. So brownstones would go 25, 20 wide, 18 wide, 16 wide, and maybe 14 or 12. So in that range, like the 25s would sell for much more than the 16s. Usually, if they're all same finishes, same upgrades or whatever. So that would be a way that you could determine value, is that if it's a 25 wide and there's an 18 wide, they can't be the same price unless the 18 wide is just way more upgraded. or just nicer or whatever. But if they're all the same, 25 is always going to be worth more than an 18 or a 12 or whatever. So similar homes is always a good measure, but again, they have to be similar. Like if the 25 is upgraded and you're going against another 25 that's not, then you got to figure out what the upgrades are worth. Now upgrades are funny because people think if I upgrade a house and I want like red marble countertops, blue cabinets with gray trim, like for me, that's perfect. And I just did it a year ago, right? So everything is new. The next person has no value for it. So even though it's upgraded, because it's so custom, they're gonna rip it out. So whatever I did to it is worthless. So actually my upgrades will actually not be worth anything because the next person, the next buyer, the next woman who's looking at it's like, nah, that's all coming out. So it's worth nothing. So you want to be aware as a seller that your upgrades may not be worth what you think they are. That brings me to determining the value of extras. So like I said, upgrades. If you have a den, so say it's yours is a two bedroom plus den versus ones that don't have a den but are just about the same square foot. Say off maybe 15 square feet. So then you have to determine what that's worth. And that's hard to determine because for you it may be worth more as a buyer because you're like, oh, I need an office. So the seller is thinking that that's worth more. Usually it is, but at times it's not because if the square footage is the same or relatively the same, it can almost have no value. But usually an extra room is going to be of some value. Views. And like I said, upgrades, the way it faces. So if it faces east, so it gets a lot of light, which can be good or bad. If it's got central air, it can be good, but it can be hot in there. So if you don't have central air, then that heat can cause an issue. So there's all different ways different things that can take away or add to value. But at the end of the day, you as a buyer have to figure out what works for you. And so once you figure out that you want that property, then you've got to figure out what things make sense. I can accept this and this. This is a no go. So if it's me, like, and I'm buying, I used to always want a brick building. So anything that wasn't brick, I wasn't interested in. But that's not really. Like that's what that is, an emotion. Like that's not really a really effective way to evaluate because like one of the brick buildings I bought had a leak in the wall, leak in the roof, but I didn't look at it or I overlooked it because I was like, it's brick, it's strong, so I can get that stuff fixed. But I didn't look at how bad those leaks were. So in that instance, I let my emotions control how I bought that property, and that was a mistake. And that was one of my worst buys. Actually, that one was bad. But I looked at it and I liked the look of it. It was brick, and I was like, yeah, it's good. And the price was low, which it was low because it was a piece of crap. So that's usually why things are low. So I should have. If you're gonna look at something emotionally, try and bring someone else in who knows you and knows the things that you generally like, and they can say, man, you just like that thing because of X. And then you will be like, oh, you're right. And then you'll take a closer look at it. When I did it, I didn't have anyone kind of looking with me that I could trust. So I was just like looking at it, trying to go through the way I evaluate stuff. And I actually have a spreadsheet that I'm going to turn into an app, which is awesome for 2, 3, 4 family homes. Like this thing is gold. Like you plug it in, and if it makes sense instantly. So you put in the rent, mortgage, interest rate, taxes, utilities, and it'll kick out, the in return is 5%. And then you look at it in terms of, am I looking at this building for cash flow or appreciation, which is another point of value. So when you are looking at, and this is more towards investment, if you're thinking about buying a 3-family, 2-family, 4-family, whatever, you have to look at, is this property going to appreciate at such a high rate that the current cash flow doesn't matter. And that's common that so in high price areas, so Brooklyn, like Park Slope, Soho, the Village. If you're thinking that you're going to get cash flow out of a lot of those brownstones, you're crazy. What people who buy those are looking for is that the appreciation rate is so high that the cash flow almost doesn't matter. As long as it's close, they can eat the cost of it because they know that every year jumps up 50,000, 70,000, 100,000. So whatever the loss was in cash flow, which say it's 15 a year, that doesn't even come close to if it appreciates 100, and you're gonna hold it, say 10 years, so you could walk away in 10 years with like $1 million plus of what you paid for it. So your equity plus the appreciation, will make the deal no brainer. So often you want to look at, am I investing for cash flow or for appreciation? So, and then in some areas, because the value is low, those areas you want to look for cash flow because it won't grow at the same rate as the grade A locations. And then the next thing, the biggest thing, and this is the last point I'm going to hit on, is your emotions, which they kill deals. I mean, kill deals. I've been in so many sales where my last deal, when I knew I was out of the game, I was in it. This guy was buying an $800,000. The guy was selling an $800,000 condo and buying one that was 1.5. And his wife was going nuts about the fact that the sellers weren't going to leave the chandelier, which I was like, if she don't shut up about that light fixture, but she was like adamant about it. So her emotions were carrying the deal towards it breaking apart because she was stuck on. And if that thing was $1,000, I'd be shocked. But she was willing to take a loss, lose the property that she loves so much because of $1,000. And so, at one point, I asked her, "What does she think the light fixture's worth?" And she said, "I don't know, $100." I said, "You serious? You will throw this deal for 400?" And that's when she looked and was like, oh. But she had spun herself so tight about it, and then it became personal because the other woman wasn't going to back off. And so they were kind of at like horns, like locked like rams. And I was like, yo, this is stupid. But often your emotions are going to carry the deal towards either its demise or its success. But as much as you can, you want to detach from it because it's just a house. Like as much as we tie emotion to it, and you have experiences in homes and all this stuff. If it's not a person, you really can't have that much emotion about it, or you shouldn't, because it's going to cloud your judgment, and you'll do things and make decisions that aren't based in any type of logical reality. So emotions are big, and you have to take it out of the game because it ruins it. It literally will ruin the deal. The last thing I would say is, we talked about how you compare things, and the best thing you can do is be honest with yourself and compare mangoes to mangoes, because if you're not, you can't compare opposite, different types of things. Like you need to be sure that you are looking at the same type of thing, and whatever the differences are, you got to take them away and make sure that the comparison is a real comparison, and not because you want it to be, because it best fits your agenda. But yeah, be real about it. Again, this is not the birth of your first kid. It's a house. You're gonna live in it 5, 10, 15 years. If you live to be 80, that's a blip. So these properties are meant to be tools. Obviously, you live in them, but in the end, it's an investment, and you want to make sure that you make money on it. So when you sell, that you can, create a profit, and transfer that over to the next sale. And we could talk about how your money isn't taxed when you purchase into another. When you take the proceeds from one sale and flip it into another property, you aren't taxed for it. But I'll get into that in one of the next episode. So that's episode 3, determining value. I tried to be quick. I'm sure I missed some points, but if you have any questions or thoughts, you can at the bottom comments you can write in, or you can email, whatever you want to do. But again, this is episode 3 of Black Land. This is a video series which is meant to empower black people to understand real estate and get more involved in it, so that we can start to create generational wealth for our kids and our grandkids and our great grandkids, so we can change the current status of how black people live and how black people are able to enjoy their lives from a financial standpoint. So again, my name is Jamie. I'm with Black Land. Have a great rest of your week.